Lucid dreaming is a fascinating tool for experiencing alternate forms of consciousness, and really for experiencing anything you would probably never be able to experience in real life. You can explore just about any place or situation that you can imagine. You can fly, people do simulated alcohol and drug use, just about anything you can imagine, anything you can think possible. You could be someone else, you can go off the planet for that matter. It's really only limited to what you think you can do, what you think you can't do. So don't put any can'ts into your, don't put any limitations on yourself. It's been shown by people like LaBerge that people who think they can't do something can't do it, while others who don't have that limitation go ahead and do it. Lucid dreaming has probably been around as long as mankind has been around. Maybe even animals lucid dream, I don't know. But it's gotten a little more exposure lately with a couple movies, and it's getting more into the popular eye. The first thing you want to do in pursuit of lucid dreams is to learn a little bit more about it. And certainly it's very easy on the internet. There's a plethora of information on YouTube, on sites like DreamViews and others. DreamViews.com. DreamViews.com does have a nice little wiki section for a dictionary and tutorials on all the various techniques, and there's a plethora of techniques. One thing you'll run into, especially early on, is people like to abbreviate and use acronyms. It can make things a little tough to read until you get more familiar with them. A lot of techniques end with ILD, induced lucid dream. There's a wild, which is wake-induced lucid dream. There's dream-induced lucid dreams, wake and back to bed, WBTV. There's finger, mnemonic, hypnotic, dream exit, ILDs. And there's a lot of other abbreviations, FA, false awakening, DJ, dream journal, DC, dream character, DS, dreamscape, DG, dream guide, etc., etc., etc. So again, referring to a site like DreamViews and their wiki part of the thing, or actually just using Google or any tool, although it's probably easier just to go to someplace like DreamViews and use their little glossary, their wiki dictionary. Well, that's about as deep as I want to get into the individual techniques. I've had limited success myself. I'm still working at them, still working with them. So there's others who can be a better guide for you on that. There's many authors and books you can get on it. One guy who's written a lot of books, Stephen LaBerge, PhD, he's written many books, co-authored several books, and those probably are the better books. This is probably his first book, just simply called Lucid Dreaming. It's a pretty tough read, frankly. It kind of reads like a master's or a doctorate thesis. It's probably what a lot of it came out of. It's all study after study after study after study. It's pretty dry stuff. His later books were quite a bit better, and I saw one recently online where it was co-authored with somebody else. It was very much more readable than this one is. Although there's certainly tons of good stuff in here. It's a little tough getting through the first part of it though. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Just do a search. Make good use of the search engine. That's probably your best bet. You can search for wild or DILD or whatever you want to search for and get tons of videos on them. So see my favorites on my YouTube channel here. I've had many, probably most of my dreams actually. I usually know that I'm, by definition, lucid to a slight degree is because I know that I'm dreaming. And usually I just don't have the will. I just go along with it. I did have one dream a while back though that was a classic full-blown lucid dream where I had total control. I was totally conscious. It was just like real life. I mean, there was dust, there was grit. It was just totally real. Everything was solid, as normal can be. I knew I was dreaming though. I don't know how, since all my tactile senses and everything were so real. I was in like a dorm or a apartment building sort of a hallway-like thing, and going into some rooms. It was like an area that was sectioned off for remodeling, renovation of some sort. There was visqueen hanging, sectioning off this room I was going through, and I looked at the objects, miscellaneous crud in the room, and then I went to the other side of the visqueen, looked at the other stuff in the next section there, and then I went back to where I had been, and it was all the same. It hadn't changed. And anybody who's investigated their dreams at all knows how fluid your dreams are. If you try to read something, either you can't read it. If you can read it, it won't read the same way twice. If you go back to where you just were, it'll be different. This wasn't like that. Everything was just like it was when I left it. I left one section to another section, went back to the other section. It was just like it was. At one point, I plucked a fiber out of a rope with either sisal or hemp or something, with a natural fiber, and I put it in my mouth, and I felt it with my tongue and nibbled it with my teeth and gnashed it between my teeth. It was just totally real. One of the objects in the room was this big pump with a domed top. I take it as some kind of big water pump or something. And the paint was a little bit chipped and flecked. It was either green or red. And for a long time I spread my arms on top of it, and I just concentrated on it. And I tried to get the paint to change color. I don't know, from green to red or vice versa. And I couldn't do it. It was just rock stable. For 1 second it got to flash, but it was right back. Lastly, I want to say that lucid dreaming is really a fairly natural thing, and you've probably already been doing quite a bit of it already. When you're young, you have a lot of nightmares, and Frankenstein's chasing you. Your dreams are you're getting beat up in your dreams quite a bit. But as you get older, they wane. You rarely, if ever, get nightmares. And the reason is because you've exerted a bit of dream control. At some point, you're just not going to have it anymore. You stand up for yourself, and you simply don't put up with it anymore. So I think that's pretty natural, unless you're constantly having nightmares in your middle ages, and you haven't progressed to that point. But I really think most people outgrow their nightmares simply because they have been lucid to a degree in their dreaming and offered some dream control. And they're dreaming what pleases them more than having bad stuff challenge them constantly. Well, I hope this has been a little bit helpful. I'd like to get some feedback. Thanks.